Welcome back to another episode on Anxiety Doesn't Own Me podcast. My name is Emmanuel Isaacson, and I'm an anxiety coach who helps people to overcome and heal their anxiety naturally. On today's episode, what I want to talk to you guys about is whenever we're dealing with anxiety and even things in general in life, whenever we want to accomplish a certain goal, and right now our goal is to overcome our anxiety, is that we need to understand and we need to instill this in ourselves, in this belief that we can never give up. We can never, ever just throw in the towel. We can't just throw in the towel and just give up, because that means we have failed then. I know I spoke about this yesterday about failure. A lot of us feel as if we are a failure or that we are afraid to fail, but once we give up, once we just throw in the towel, that's how we know that we actually failed. And right now, we don't have the option to just give up, because living with anxiety is hard. Overcoming anxiety is hard. And I know right now you feel like you're drowning. You feel like you're drowning and the current is so strong and you can't lift up your head over the current. You cannot lift your head up over the water and you feel like you no longer have any energy. And I know how hard it is, but if we stop to try to save ourselves from drowning, we are just going to drown at the end of the day. That's what's going to happen. We're going to fall in deep, and we cannot let that happen. We need to continuously move forward every single day. And I'm not saying, again, I always say this, you don't have to throw yourself in 100%. You just need to be committed 100% in overcoming your anxiety and understand that's in your hands and nobody else's hands. Other people can help you out, like me or whatever. You can read a book, listen to some videos, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's us that needs to put in the work. And if we do, we are going to see the results. We are going to see the results that we want. It might take time. Of course, it's going to take time. It is. But what's better? Is it just to give up and just be the way we are? And I know we don't want to. I know that we won't want to. I know that it's hard. I know that it's hard every single day to deal with it. I know that it is. I'm not saying that it's easy. It's like a walk in the park. No, I know how hard it is. I've been there myself. And there were times that I wanted to give up. There were times that I was just hopeless. I said to myself, I'm never going to get out of this situation. I'm going to be stuck like this for the rest of my life. But I came to that point of like, I'm sick and tired of living this way. I'm sick and tired of feeling this way. I said to myself, I need to make a drastic change over here. I need to do and implement the things that I have learned. Like a lot of people are scared to do exposure therapy. They are afraid to go out. Let's say, for example, they're afraid of going outside of their house, right? They're afraid to leave their house and they're not going to do it. But you have to ask yourself, is that really helping me? Is staying home easy? No, it's not easy. It's hard. Going outside your house is also hard. So number one, we need to choose our hard. And number two, we need to understand that hard at the end of the day is going to get easier. So if we do exposure therapy, in the beginning, it's going to be hard. It's going to be too much for us. We're going to feel overwhelmed. But we need to think about, okay, staying home hasn't helped me. It hasn't helped me. I've gone to therapy. I've done so many things. I need to put in the action. That's something that I did. Whenever I was afraid of a certain situation, I said to myself, Emmanuel, you are going to implement the things that you have learned in this situation whenever you're feeling anxiety. And I know that a lot of people do forget it, so I write it down or I have some sort of reminders, whatever it is, whatever I had, and that would remind me, okay, this is what I need to do over here. This is what I should implement over here. Like I used to be afraid, again, I used to talk about this, I was afraid of going on buses or being afraid of being on myself. So what I did after a while, I'm like, you know what? I need to learn how to be on myself. I need to learn how to be on my own. So whenever I did, I would have anxiety and then I would walk myself through and I would freak out. I would freak out still. But after a while, after a few more times, I started to be able to control my anxiety in a much better way. I used to have much more control. And I was in control now. And it felt amazing to be able to accomplish that. It really did. And as you know, guys, it took me 3 years to overcome my anxiety, and I didn't have help. I didn't have that kind of guidance. I had a social worker, and the only time I didn't have enough money to even pay the social worker so much. I was able to do 10 sessions, But in those test sessions, I took out a lot of information. I wrote down everything possible in order for me to understand exactly how anxiety works. And again, the social worker can only help me so much. And the only reason why he was able to help me so much is because he went through anxiety. And if he didn't, I would have to go find another one. Like I had to find so many other ones. It took me a while to find the right therapist because most of them don't understand. Like I would try to explain to the therapist one time about DPDR, and he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have zero idea of what you're talking about. It made me feel like I was insane. But whenever I told this social worker about my experience, he understood everything. It was like, wait, you understand me? It felt amazing. It felt amazing to finally have somebody to understand me. It felt like some sort of, if I felt relief. I felt really good that, hey, you know what? This person actually understands me. And he was able to help me. And he sent me he helped me with so many tips. But again, at the end of the day, he can help me so much. I had to put in the work. I had to put in the work that he taught me. And also on top of that, I went to so many different things. I read books. I worked on myself. I went to seminars. I went to workshops. Everything that I could possibly do. Everything that I could possibly do to improve myself to get out of this situation in order for me to feel much better. It wasn't easy, but those 3 years have taught me so much. And now I'm able to provide you guys everything that I have learned in those 3 years so that you guys can improve yourself in a much faster and quicker way. So you guys don't need to wait 3 years. And again, I can't give you a timetable of how every single person and how long it's going to take to overcome this anxiety. Every single person is going to be different. I know some people dealing with the years because it could be that they're not using the right tools, or they haven't been informed with the right tools of what to do. And I know a lot of people do benefit from this podcast. They have told me personally, they send me messages, say, thank you so much for the podcast. So I'm glad it's helping you, and I'm glad that you're implementing it. So you see guys, having the right information, the right tools, and using it can really, really help. It can really help. But again, besides the tools, we need to develop ourselves. We need to develop our self-esteem, our self-confidence, our positive thinking. We have to develop those things. Like for me, spirituality is a big thing for me. Like I need to connect with God. If I don't have that connection, I feel a difference. Like I love speaking with God. I like having a relationship with him. It really does help me. So this is something personally that helps me. And I know other people it does help too. It could be for some people it doesn't help. So you got to find that spirituality that does help. Because again, we have 4 things within ourselves. We have the physical body, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. And we need to have them balanced out so that we can feel good. So if we have less with one of them, we're going to feel a difference. We might have, a very strong mindset, emotion and also spirituality, but our physical, we're not eating healthy. We feel the difference. We feel the effects. It can be on every single little one of them. Every single one of them, we can feel the effects. Again, we can't be 100% perfect, but we need to work on certain things that can help us, like a mindset. The mindset is number 1 for me. It's key. Number 1, because think about it. When we have the right mindset, we won't give up. We won't give up. We will understand that we're struggling right now, but we will look in the future and say, okay, this is my goal. I need to go through hell sometimes to get there. I have to go through hell in order for me to get there, but giving up is not an option. Giving up for me is not an option because I'm sick and tired. This is something I told myself. I am sick and tired of living this way. And I remember I came to the point of saying to myself, maybe it's just not worth living anymore. I know a lot of people think that way. I know that. Like I remember I told myself, like I'm tired of living this way. Like what's this? This is life. This is what I need to go through. This is what I'm going to go through the rest of my life. There's that thought of thinking, this is what I'm going to go through the rest of my life. I'm like, this is hell. This is hell on earth. And nobody understands you. And nobody's living it. You are by yourself. It makes you feel so hopeless, and puts you in such a place that you no longer want to live. I told myself, like, I just don't want to continue. And like, I was having these thoughts for a while. And then one day, I remember I was, I always do, like, my aunt has a garden. So I would go to her house and I would just work on the garden. And it made me feel good. Like nature really helps me out. Helps me to feel calmer. It helps me to feel good. It took me out of my depression. And like every time I would go there, I would, do the work and everything. And I would fix up her house also just to keep myself busy. And then I remember I was working over there in the garden and I was washing something and I was having these thoughts in my mind. And I tell myself, I'm like, Emmanuel, you are a coward. This is what I told myself. I'm like, you are a coward. You want the easy way out? Who says you can't get out of it? Just because you've been dealing with this for such a long time? That's why? That's the reason why you feel like that's it, you're screwed for the rest of your life? Like where in the world is that? Where's that proof? Who says that it can't change? Who said this isn't for the best for you right now, what you're dealing with? Yes, it's hard. It's difficult. But that's a coward move, I told myself. I'm like, Emmanuel, you're a coward for doing that. You want the easy way out. The easy way out is never the best way. And I told myself, like, Emmanuel, you have to understand that one day you have to instill this in your mind, instill this idea, plant this seed that one day you'll be anxiety free, and that giving up is not an option. Giving up is not an option. You have to be a fighter. Don't think that somebody else will come and help you out. Yes, they can help you out, but you need to help you out yourself at the end of the day. They can provide you with tools. They can provide you with advice. But if you're not going to implement it, if you're not going to do it, of course you're going to be in this place that you are right now. That conversation that I had with me, I remember where I was. I remember it was the middle of the day. It was around like 4 o'clock. I remember when this epiphany in a way, like boom, it kind of changed my entire thing. I was like, yeah, that's not the right way to think. I was like, no. Just because I'm in such a shitty situation doesn't mean that I'm going to be like this the rest of my life. Things can change, and things will change, I told myself. Things will change, I told myself. And you know what? They did. They did. I started implementing, and I started to work towards accomplishing the goal of being anxiety-free, and I finally snapped out of DPDR. I started to feel much better. And again, it took me another 2.5 years because, again, I didn't understand the entire thing about anxiety. But once I did, I knew exactly what to do, and I knew exactly how to calm down my anxiety. I knew exactly how to feel much better, and now I'm anxiety-free for over 9 years and able to deal with the stress. Some days are hard. I'm not saying that it's easy. Some days for me are hard. Some days are more stressful than others, but I'm able to deal with it. That's the thing. I built a certain mindset, and that's what you need to do. And tell yourself, giving up is never an option. I am a freaking fighter. Fighters deal with anxiety, by the way, and I am strong, and I am a capable person. If you did like this episode, please click the like button and leave a 5-star review. The reason why I ask is because this way we're able to reach more people, and the more people that we can actually reach, the more people that we can actually help. Because my mission in this world, my purpose is to help people to overcome and heal their anxiety naturally and show them that it's possible to overcome. Thank you guys. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.